During the Vietnam War, Marine combat medics, known in official terms as Navy corpsmen, emerged as some of the most vital, yet overlooked figures on the battlefield, embodying the very idea of unsung heroes. Unlike regular combat troops, their primary mission was not to kill the enemy, but to preserve the lives of their comrades. And yet they were thrust into the same harsh and unforgiving environments as the Marines they supported. They advanced into the thick jungles, slogged through flooded rice paddies, endured relentless monsoon rains, and fought through blistering heat while carrying medical supplies instead of heavy weapons. Often they were armed with little more than a pistol or rifle for self-defense, but their true weapon was knowledge, training, and an iron will to save lives under conditions that defied all normal standards of medicine. Corpsmen lived and fought side by side with the Marines, earning their trust to such an extent that they were not seen as outsiders from the Navy, but as brothers in arms, part of the same fighting family. Their work required a blend of speed, courage, and ingenuity. In the chaos of firefights, when Marines fell wounded under enemy fire, corpsmen were often the first to sprint or crawl toward them, exposing themselves to bullets, grenades, or mortar rounds. They had to make split-second decisions with the limited tools available, improvising when supplies were gone. Tourniquets fashioned from strips of cloth or belts, bandages created from shirts, or morphine administered under the most desperate circumstances. They stabilized shattered limbs, staunched heavy bleeding, treated sucking chest wounds, and sometimes performed emergency procedures that would normally only be attempted in hospitals, all in the dirt and blood of the battlefield. When evacuation helicopters, the dust-offs, could not reach them due to enemy fire or bad weather, corpsmen had to keep the wounded alive for hours or even days, carrying them on makeshift stretchers or simply on their backs through treacherous terrain. For the Marines, the corpsman's presence was a source of reassurance. The cry of "Doc" in the middle of combat was both a desperate plea and a declaration of trust, because every Marine knew the corpsman would come, no matter the risk. Many combat medics paid the ultimate price, rushing to aid others only to fall themselves, their sacrifice often going unnoticed beyond the memories of the men they saved. For those who survived, the burden of what they had witnessed was immense. Images of young Marines bleeding out, cries of pain, and the weight of lives lost, despite their best efforts, left scars that lingered long after the war. Yet even in the face of these horrors, they were remembered by their fellow soldiers as symbols of hope, bravery, and compassion in a war that was otherwise defined by brutality and destruction. Despite their critical importance, combat medics did not always receive the recognition they deserved. Histories of Vietnam often focus on battles, strategies, and commanding officers, while the quiet heroism of the corpsmen remains in the background. Yet veterans who fought alongside them remember with vivid clarity the times when a medic's hands kept a heart beating or a breath flowing until help arrived. In many cases, the lives of entire squads were preserved because of one man's willingness to risk everything for others. Their story is therefore not only about battlefield medicine, but also about profound humanity in the midst of war. Marine combat medics in Vietnam stand as enduring examples of selflessness, men who carried the weight of both life and death in their packs, who shared in the hardships of their fellow Marines, and who defined heroism not by the number of enemies defeated, but by the countless lives they saved.